It was supposed to be the last train home. My name is Daniel, and even after 3 years, I still can't explain what happened that night.
Attention passengers. The final train is arriving shortly.
It happened on a cold November night in rural Pennsylvania. I had just finished a long shift at work. By the time I reached the station, my usual train had already left. The platform was almost empty. Only the sound of the wind and the occasional rustling of dry leaves broke the silence. The old station clock read 11:42 p.m. The yellow platform lights flickered every few seconds, and the surrounding forest seemed darker than usual. I checked my phone while waiting, but there was nothing interesting. Just a few unread emails and a battery at 23%. Then the station speakers suddenly crackled. Static filled the air before an old mechanical voice echoed across the empty platform. Attention passengers. The final train is arriving shortly. The announcement ended as suddenly as it had begun. A few moments later, two dim headlights slowly appeared through the thick fog. An old silver commuter train rolled toward the platform. It looked decades older than every other train that normally stopped there. The paint was faded, the windows were dusty, and the destination display above the driver's cabin was completely blank. No station name, no route number, nothing. The train stopped. The doors opened. For a moment, I considered waiting for another train. Then I remembered there wouldn't be one. I stepped inside. The carriage was strangely quiet. Only 4 other passengers were there. An elderly woman dressed entirely in black sat near the window. A businessman held a leather briefcase without ever looking up. A young mother gently rocked her sleeping child. At the far end of the carriage sat a teenage boy wearing large headphones. Nobody acknowledged that I had boarded. The doors closed. The train began moving. At first, everything felt completely normal. The wheels rolled steadily over the tracks. The fluorescent lights buzzed softly overhead. I leaned back in my seat, expecting to arrive home within 30 minutes. But 20 minutes passed. Then 30. The train never stopped. The stations I knew should have appeared outside the windows never came. There were no houses, no roads, no crossing lights, only endless darkness beyond the glass. I unlocked my phone. No signal. The GPS displayed only one message: location unavailable. A strange feeling settled in my stomach. I stood up and decided to find the conductor. I walked through the next carriage, empty, then another, also empty. Every carriage looked exactly the same. The same brown seats, the same flickering lights, the same faded advertisements. After opening one more connecting door, I froze. I was back in the carriage where I had started. The same 4 passengers sat exactly where they had been before. Not one of them had moved. The elderly woman slowly turned her head toward me. For the first time, she spoke. "You shouldn't have boarded this train." Her voice was calm, almost sympathetic. Before I could respond, every light inside the carriage went out. Darkness, complete silence. A few seconds later, I heard footsteps. Not slow footsteps. Someone was running, fast. The sound echoed through the empty train. Closer, closer, closer. No one reacted. The businessman quietly lowered his head. The mother held her child tighter. The teenager slowly removed his headphones. Everyone remained perfectly silent. The footsteps stopped just outside the carriage. Then came 3 slow knocks. Knock, knock, knock. The train was still moving at full speed. There should have been nobody outside. I looked toward the window. For a brief second, I thought I saw the outline of a tall figure standing beside the moving train. Before I could focus, the lights suddenly came back on. Everything looked normal again. The passengers acted as though nothing had happened. I looked up at the digital clock inside the carriage. 11:47 p.m. Several minutes later, it still read 11:47 p.m. Time wasn't moving. Then the speakers crackled again. "Next stop. End of the line." The train gradually slowed. Outside the windows appeared a lonely station covered in dense white fog. There were no station signs, no buildings, no people. Only one empty platform stretching into the darkness. The doors opened. The elderly woman quietly stood. As she walked past me, she paused. Without looking directly at me, she whispered, "If you want to go home, don't get off." She stepped onto the platform and disappeared into the fog. The doors closed. The train moved again. I turned to look through the window. The station was gone. There was nothing outside except darkness. Almost an hour later, the train slowed once more. This time, it arrived at my actual station. People entered and exited normally. My phone signal returned instantly. Everything looked completely ordinary. When I reached my apartment, I couldn't stop thinking about the journey. I searched online for old railway records. After several minutes, I found a newspaper article from 1978. The headline read, "Commuter train vanishes without a trace." According to the article, 34 passengers had disappeared after boarding a late-night train on the same railway line. The train never reached its destination. No wreckage was ever found. No explanation was ever given. Then I noticed the old black-and-white photograph beneath the article. Standing quietly on the platform was the same elderly woman I had seen only hours earlier. The same face, the same black dress, the same expression. She hadn't aged at all. Since that night, I never take the last train home, but every now and then, at exactly 11:47 p.m., when the world is completely quiet, I hear distant train brakes outside my apartment window. The strange part is, there has never been a railway anywhere near my building. For weeks, I tried convincing myself it had all been a dream. I stopped reading about the missing train. I changed my work schedule so I would never be near a station at night again. Life slowly returned to normal, or at least, that's what I wanted to believe. Exactly 1 month later, I came home after work and found something lying on the floor outside my apartment door. It was an old paper train ticket. The paper was yellow with age, and the ink had almost faded away. Printed across the top were the words, "Last Service." There was no departure station, no destination, only one departure time, 11:47 p.m. My hands started shaking. I had never seen that ticket before. I quickly looked down the hallway. No one was there, no footsteps, no elevator sound, nothing. I rushed inside, locked every door, and threw the ticket into my kitchen trash bin. The next morning, it was gone. A week later, while leaving work, my phone buzzed with a notification. It wasn't from any app I recognized. There was no sender, no phone number, just one message. "Your train is arriving." At the bottom of the screen, a countdown appeared. 0 hours, 1 minute, 30 seconds, 90 seconds. I looked up. Across the street, through the evening fog, I heard the distant sound of steel wheels rolling over tracks, but there were no train tracks anywhere nearby. Then, 2 dim yellow headlights slowly appeared in the darkness, and for just a second, I saw the old silver train waiting for me. The destination display was no longer blank. This time, it showed only one word. Daniel. I never looked back. I ran. And if you're ever standing alone on an empty platform late at night, and an old silver train arrives with a blank destination sign. Don't get on, because some trains aren't trying to take you home.